Well, last time our boys were preparing to leave for their long trip to the West Pole, but with Captain Peter Peachfuzz at the wheel, they found themselves taking off backwards. Not only that, but they left Professor Von Beige standing on the runway, and he was the only man who knew where they were going.
And I'll tell you something, Junior, it wasn't that way.
Bullwinkle, we gotta get Captain Peachfuzz straightened out.
Impossible.
Well, we gotta try.
By this time, even the confused captain had figured out that something was wrong.
This is the first plane I've ever flown in that had an observation car.
Faster and faster the plane flew.
Buffeting.
Until it broke through the sound barrier and was traveling backwards faster than the speed of sound. As a result, when Rocky burst into the cabin and started to speak, his voice sounded like this.
Now,
And prompted by Rocky, Captain Peachfuzz turned the switch to forward. Instantly, the plane reversed direction. But everything inside it kept going the other way, including our friends.
That didn't work out exactly as I planned.
Fortunately, among the things that were falling with our friends were a number of parachutes, and in a few minutes they were all floating safely down, except Captain Peachfuzz.
naturally.
Below them, Professor Von Beige was trudging sadly back to town when suddenly...
Hey, Professor, it's us!
Oh, you've come back for me. How nice. But where's the airplane?
A good question, that, for at that moment, their abandoned plane broke in half in midair, and part of it landed in a downtown parking lot.
Now, there's something you don't see every day, Chauncey.
What's that, Edgar?
Half an airplane just landed in the parking lot.
Oh, I don't know, Edgar. T'other half ought to be here soon.
Wonder how come that half landed later, Chauncey.
That's the tourist section.
True.
Back at the airport, our friends were readying another plane.
Boy, it's sure lucky for us this is a fantasy show.
How come?
If this was for real, this plane would have cost a fortune.
Well, this time with an experienced flyer at the controls,
Rocket G. Squirrel himself.
the plane zoomed skyward and started on its long journey.
Could you make that a short journey?
How come?
I forgot the sandwiches.
But, Bullwinkle, it is a long journey.
Well, couldn't we do like they do in the movies? You know where you see the hands on the clock spinning, and the leaves dropping off the calendar, and the seasons changing, and the first thing you know...
Bullwinkle, you got a long white beard.
Must have gone too far. I better put a few leaves back on the calendar.
Better turn the clock back a bit, too, Bullwinkle.
How come?
'Cause we're getting awful low on gas.
And at that moment, the jet engines conked out and the plane started to fall.
Hey, we're gonna set a new record.
What's that?
We'll crash 2 planes in 1 episode.
We gotta send our position on the radio.
On the what?
On the radio.
Rocky, this may come as a shock to you, but we're not on the radio. We're on television.
I mean the plane radio.
Plane or FM, we're just not on it.
Captain, what's our position?
I've got it right here. We're between 56th and 57th Street on Madison Avenue.
Hokey smoke, you know what that means?
It means we're gonna crash right on the J. Walter Stucker Company.
No, it means we got a map of New York City.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't...
It's a little too late for jokes now, Bullwinkle.
Oh.
And the plane plunged dizzily downward. Be with us next time for the Ocean Waves or High Divers.
I said it was too late for jokes.
It's all right, Rock. That wasn't funny.
Once upon a time, there was an old woodcutter who lived in the woods.
I like to be near my work, you know what I mean?
And this old woodcutter had 2 children named Felicia and Bruno. One day, he told them that it was time for them to make their own way in the world.
It's time for you to make your own way in the world, kids.
We know.
But before you go, I want to give each of you a gift.
Wild.
For you, Bruno, a chicken.
Gee, Dad, it's a leghorn.
And for you, Felicia, a pot of pinks. They're small gifts, to be sure.
You can say that again.
But one of them is magic.
Which one?
I forgot. Well, have a nice trip, kids.
Bye, Dad.
Right if you get rich.
And the 2 children set out to make their way in the world.
What are you gonna do with a pot of pinks, if that's what they are?
What are you gonna do with a miserable chicken?
Obviously, you haven't made the fairy story scene. What I undoubtedly have here is a magic chicken that lays golden eggs. Stand back. She's gonna lay one right now. There you see? A golden egg.
Doesn't look gold to me.
Yes, sir, a golden egg. Oh, it's the gracious life for me from now on.
Looks like a regular egg.
Jaguars, Brooks Brothers suits, winters in Jamaica.
A regular chicken egg.
There you'll be sniffing your pot of pinks while I'm dining at 21, even 22. But that's fairy stories, yes, sirree. Whoops.
Yes, sirree. That's fairy stories.
I'll go sniff your pinks, if that's what they are.
But when Felicia turned to sniff the pinks, she saw they were drooping.
Oh, dear.
So she took a pitcher down to the lake to get some water for them. But no sooner had she started to fill it than a tree by the side of the lake suddenly changed into a beautiful lady.
Wow! Do that again.
All righty.
That's sensational.
Well, that's fairy stories.
I wish my brother could see that. He's a nut for that kind of thing, you know, witches, magic, and like that.
Meanwhile, back at the chicken,
You're not magic. You're nothing but a stupid Plymouth Rock. You're no better than a crummy pot of pinks that... Hey! If you're not magic, it must be the pot of pinks that's magic. I should have known. With a dizzy name like pot of pinks. No comments.
so Bruno stole the pot of pinks and substituted a cabbage in its place. A short time later, Felicia returned with the pitcher of water.
Wow, you really were thirsty, weren't you?
Felicia, I don't know how to tell you this, but that isn't a pot of pinks.
No?
No, it's a cabbage. Your brother has the real pot of pinks, if that's what they are.
Well, aren't you going to do something magic to get him back?
No, the only trick I can do is to change from a lady to a tree and vice versa.
Well, that's fairy stories.
But when Felicia set the cabbage down on the ground...
Ouch! Watch out there, that hurt there.
Who said that?
I did there.
That's all I need, a talking cabbage.
Such a bump you gave me there.
Well, I'm sorry. But being a cabbage, you got to expect a certain amount of rough treatment. I mean, I didn't make the rules.
But listen, I'm not an ordinary talking cabbage. I'm different there.
I know. You can turn yourself into a handsome prince.
Oh, anybody can do that. Frogs, donkeys. Now, what I do is unique. A whole new bit there.
So what's your bit?
I lay golden eggs.
Oh, ridiculous. If you expect me to stay around and listen to anything so far-fetched...
What'll you do?
I'll turn back into a tree.
And she did.
But I'm not kidding. I feel a golden egg coming on now. Oh, cluck, cluck. Cluck, cluck there.
Well, the cabbage began to hop around strangely, and would you believe it, actually laid a golden egg.
Wow! Would you do that again?
No.
Why not? I think that's wonderful.
Well, to tell you the truth, it's the first time I ever did it, and I don't like it a bit there.
Oh.
But I will tell you how to get your pot of pinks back, if that's what they are.
How?
Just take that golden egg and...
Meanwhile, Bruno was trying to coax magic out of Felicia's pinks.
Come on, pinks, if that's what you are. Just one little trick.
Bruno, those are my pinks.
We traded. Take your chicken and get out of here.
Do I take the golden egg, too?
Sure, take the golden egg.
Yeah, see?
Here's your pot of pinks. Give me my chicken.
I thought we traded.
We didn't shake hands on it.
So Felicia took back her pot of pinks and watered it tenderly. And as she did, a strange thing happened. The pot of pinks turned into a handsome prince.
Kind maiden, will you marry me?
Oh, Your Highness.
Just call me Pinky.
So Felicia and the prince were wed, and Bruno, well, he was so insistent that the chicken really did start laying golden eggs.
Anything to stop him from bugging me.
So they all lived happily ever after, which just goes to show the power of positive thinking.
Or as we call it, the power of positive pinking.
Well, that's fairy stories.
Well, when last we saw Bullwinkle and Rocky, they were plunging straight downward toward... You're not plunging down.
We are, too.
You're going straight.
Ridiculous.
But...
You're just looking at the picture wrong.
Yeah, turn your head sideways.
No, the other way.
Well, that's better. Yes, our heroes were plummeting toward the ocean far below.
That's better.
But first, a brief word about the plot.
Very brief.
It all started a few days ago with Professor von Beij's theory of the polar flip.
Yeah, you see, the ice at the North Pole is getting heavier and heavier, and the whole world's starting to flip over this way, which means that the new North Pole, or as we call it, the West Pole, will be somewhere in the Pacific Ocean.
But if we get there and melt the ice, maybe it'll flip back again.
So that's why we were headed west when we ran out of gas.
I still think we're headed west.
Yeah, maybe we'd better bail out, Bullwinkle.
Bail out? We're not sinking, Rock. We're falling.
If only we had a little more gas.
Well, maybe we brought along an extra can. Let's look through the luggage.
Good idea, Rock. Let's see. Here's some ice skates, a wiffle tree bolt.
Hey, what's in here?
Don't open that!
Gee, what was that?
That was my collection of soap bubbles.
Say, here's a copy of the Congressional Record.
What's that for?
I use it to press flowers in. Let's see, 3 pounds of Gruffy dust.
Bullwinkle, that's it.
Gruffy dust? We gotta wait till the dark of the moon if we're gonna
No, the Congressional Record.
I don't want to quibble, Rock, but this is no time to catch up on your reading.
You don't understand. This is a jet plane, right?
Right.
And a jet is nothing but a lot of hot air, right?
Right.
Well, where are you going to find more hot air than there is in the Congressional Record?
Mr. Squirrel, this is a scintillating hypothesis.
And a pretty bright idea, too.
In a twinkling, a connection was made, and Bullwinkle began to read the Congressional Record into the plane's fuel system.
Mr. Speaker, the glorious history of the grain and feed industry as reflected in the production figures for the period 1907 to 1912 is...
Bullwinkle, it's working. Keep it up.
For our American system and our children's children against the encroachment of the forces of international outlawry and the abandonment of our precious heritage of...
Hooray! We're saved! She's never flown better.
Yes, apparently there was enough hot air in that single volume of the Congressional Record to propel a 4-engine jet clear around the world.
Wait till the boys at Cape Carnivorous hear about this.
Okay, Captain Peach Fuzz, which way do we go?
Forward, Rocky, always forward.
No, on the map.
Oh, that. Well, let me get it in a better light. We are heading past Eawa.
Eawa? That's an odd name.
It's Welsh, Rocky. In Wales, that means the place where the geese run barefoot.
Could I see that map, Captain?
Certainly, Professor. There it is. Eawa.
Captain, you're holding the map against the light and reading it backwards.
Oh?
That's really Hawaii.
In Wales? Ridiculous.
Oh, boy.
Meanwhile, back at the Moose...
Like to place in the record the names of the Shawnee Falls Arbor Day Committee, Lavinia Waggle, Arthur Grinker... Boy, this is dull stuff. Whitney Clapsaddle, Bernard Walkenfuss...
Yes, it was dull. So dull that within 3 minutes, everybody within hearing distance of Bullwinkle was sound asleep.
Had the plane flew onward to without a... Be with us next time for...
Freebird, Darwin J. Hatch, Ella Beagle, Someday for our fan club picnic, sunshine, blue skies.
Sunshine, blue skies. Terrible, isn't it? But maybe we'll have a sudden storm later.
Okay, here we are. Everybody set for the sack race? All set.
Captain Peach Fuzz, you're supposed to use an empty sack.
That would make it easier, Rocky.
Hey, your feet are sticking out. That's not fair.
Well, must be a moth hole.
That'd have to be a pretty big moth.
You got a pretty big moth yourself, buddy.
This sack racing seems awful dangerous to me.
Dangerous?
Yeah, might run into a tree or something.
Now, first one to the tree and back wins. Ready, set, go! Gee, I didn't know you were so good at this, Bullwinkle.
It's nothing. I spend a lot of my spare time in the sack, you know.
Time for the Miss Bullwinkle and Rocky Fan Club contest.
All set, darling.
A pretty girl is like a melody.
That's melody.
With Natasha in contest, it's melody.
Where are the other contestants?
What other contestants? She's the only girl in the club.
Sort of narrows down the competition, don't it?
As head judge, Natasha, I'd like to give you this trophy.
Pretty good, Natasha. Last thing you got from a judge was 90 days.
Well, let's eat. Did everybody bring his favorite dish like we decided?
Yep.
Bullwinkle, yours is empty.
This is my favorite dish, Rocky. You didn't mention anything about bringing food.
Hello again, Peabody and Sherman here.
Who are we going to visit today, Mr. Peabody?
Ørsted.
Bless you.
I did not sneeze, Sherman. I was referring to Hans Christian Ørsted, the brilliant Danish physicist and discoverer of electromagnetism.
Oh.
So if you'll be so kind as to set the way back for the year 1820 and the place Copenhagen, Denmark, we'll be on our way. We entered the Wayback and were immediately teleported back through time, where we soon found ourselves standing in front of the small country home of Hans Ørsted.
Gee, we didn't pick a very good day to visit, Mr. Peabody. It looks like we're in for quite a storm.
An electrical storm, to be exact, Sherman. Come, let's...
Quick, gentlemen. Tell me, have you seen him?
Well, I'm afraid we haven't seen anybody. You see, we just got here and we
You don't suppose he went under the house, do you?
Well, it's possible, but perhaps if you told us just who...
I'll have to look under there.
We quickly joined Mr. Ørsted under the house to see if we could learn the reason for his peculiar actions. Without seeming to pry, sir, may I ask just who it is you are looking for under here?
Jimmy.
Jimmy? I mean, Jimmy?
Yes, sure, but he ain't been here. There's only one place left to look.
Following him into the house, we watched as he approached a large, overstuffed sofa.
So, here you are. Shame on you.
Oops, I'm afraid Mr. Ørsted has been working too hard, Mr. Peabody. Now he's talking to the sofa.
Not to the sofa, Sherman, but to something under the sofa. See?
Ow! Ow!
And unless I miss my guess, that is Jimmy.
Yeah, and Jimmy's a bad Jimmy. He hasn't got it in his mouth. He must have buried it. Now I can't fly my kite and make a compass.
Huh? Buried what? And what does flying a kite have to do with you making a compass?
Just this. By attaching this needle to the tail of a kite and flying it during this electrical storm, lightning would strike it. Thus it would become magnetized.
And being magnetized, it would always point north, due to the magnetic field surrounding the Earth.
Yeah, sure. But then Jimmy ran off with my kite string, and I've got to find it before the storm is over.
Oh, don't worry. I am certain that I can find the exact spot where Jimmy buried the kite string. Follow me. Walking directly to a spot beneath a large tree, I instructed Sherman to dig. In no time at all, he had uncovered 2 soup bones, a newspaper, a rubber ball, a well-chewed slipper, and, of course, the ball of string.
Gee, that's amazing, Mr. Peabody. How did you know that this is where Jimmy buried his stuff?
Well, very simple. In order to think what a dog thinks, you must simply think like a dog. And, among other things, Sherman, I think like a dog.
Sorry, Mr. Peabody, I keep forgetting.
Now would be an excellent time to get on with your discovery, Mr. Ørsted.
Good. Here I go, beyabbers.
So saying, Hans Ørsted ran across an open field, but watching the kite instead of where he was going, once more stopped the experiment dead in its tracks. Quickly, Sherman, pull him out.
I got him. Are you all right, Mr. Ørsted?
No.
What's the matter?
I lost the needle.
Come on, I'll help you look for it.
Sherman and Hans frantically set about searching through the hay, but of course it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. You'll never find it that way, Sherman. There's only one quick way to find a needle in a haystack.
How's that?
By simply sitting down in the hay.
Sitting down, are you sure?
Try it and see.
Well, okay, but it seems kind of... Ah!
It's the hard way, I'll admit, but it works every time. Here's the needle, Hans.
Too late, I don't need it now.
What do you mean?
We waited too long, the storm is over.
It was true, the sky had cleared and there was no more lightning.
Oh, I best just forget the whole thing.
Nonsense, it's simply a matter of getting it to storm again, and I can do that before you can say cumulus nimbus. Returning to the house, we proceeded to raid the Ørsted icebox. Finding a fine ham, some leftover chicken, and plenty of pickles and olives, I was soon able to whip up a fine lunch, which we then took into a nearby meadow and prepared to enjoy.
I don't get it, Mr. Peabody. I thought you said you were going to make it storm again.
I'm doing exactly that right now, Sherman.
By eating lunch?
When eaten out of doors, it's referred to as a picnic, Sherman, and the best way I know to drum up some foul weather is to have a picnic. Ah, there it is now, right on cue.
By Yemeni, nothing gonna stop me now.
Nothing gonna did, and needless to say, his experiment with electromagnetism was a rousing success.
And he lived happily ever after, right, Mr. Peabody?
Not quite, Sherman. For just a few months after that eventful day, Hans was repairing a toaster for his mother when, quite by accident, his brother Virgil plugged in the cord to which Hans was holding 2 bare wires, and poor Hans disappeared in a blue flash.
How awful! What did his brother say to his mother about that?
Well, what could he say, Sherman, but, "Look, Mom, no hands."
Harvey Flitch, Casper Puddingstone, Marvin Geld, Elizabeth Ogle, Sinbad Brittle,
What? Oh, yes. In our last episode, Bullwinkle began to read the congressional record into the fuel system of our hero's jet plane to provide them with enough hot air to fly to their destination. There was plenty of hot air, all right, but unfortunately, he ran across the membership list of the Shawnee Falls Arbor Day Committee, and the steady drone of names soon put everybody to sleep.
Including the narrators.
Yes. As a result, I don't know where we are now. Do you, Rocky?
Huh? Do I what?
Oh, never mind. Captain Peach Fuzz.
I've asked the fantail and capstan, the landlubber, and what'd you say?
Professor Von Beige.
Let's sign up with the other side, Otto. Those Russian winters allow...
Professor, where are we?
We are there, that's where.
Where is there?
There's where is there.
Sure enough, when our heroes looked down, they saw a small Pacific island directly beneath them.
Gee, it's sure pretty.
That's the new North Pole?
Jawohl.
Sure ought to pep up the tourist trade.
I wonder if the natives are friendly.
Well, we'll soon find out.
That was true, for at that moment, down on the island, a band of natives was preparing a big welcome for the boys under the direction of the native chief, whose name was... what is your name, Chief?
Aloha, Kimosabi. Allow me to introduce myself. Colonel Oglethorpe Peachtree. This is my partner, Magnolia Blossom.
Those are odd names to find in the Pacific.
You forget, Sonny boy, this is the South Pacific.
Oh, but you're really Boris and...
You're giving away the plot.
Don't be a snitch, darling.
Oh, this is terrible. You're in charge of the island?
You saw it, kid, and what a welcome we give.
Welcome?
We've been practicing for weeks. First big fire dance, moose and squirrel get hot food from whole tribe. Then big 2-course dinner cooked in individual casseroles.
It's a dinner?
Right. Squirrel stew and fricassee of moose.
But that's practically a meal for cannibals.
What do you think these boys are, vegetarians?
Colonel, darling, it's time to send invitations.
Right, Miss Magnolia.
And Boris quickly scrawled invitations on a number of huge bombs, and his gang of bloodthirsty cannibals began to load them into a primitive weapon.
Ready? Aim. Fire.
The bomb hurtled on its way, but it didn't go unobserved.
Unidentified flying object off the port bow, or is it the starboard?
Unidentified my foot. That's a flying bomb.
You mean somebody shooting at us?
But that's impossible. In the guidebook, it says the natives are known to be friendly.
It does?
It says they're known to be harmless.
It does? There's another thing we know about them, too.
What's that?
They don't read guidebooks.
Listen, we come in peace.
Oh, careful, Captain, or you'll come in pieces.
Gee, those things are getting awful close.
Take it easy, Bullwinkle. There's only one you gotta worry about.
Which one is that?
The one that has your name on it.
And at that instant, a bomb hurtled through the window and landed in Bullwinkle's arms.
Say, Rock, guess what this one says on it?
Rocky and Bullwinkle?
How'd you guess?
And our heroes floated rapidly down toward the spear-brandishing mob beneath them. Be sure to see our next ticklish episode, 6 o'clock low, or Bullwinkle Gets the Point.